This is Greg Fowler for Online London, and with me is Ivan Kasiurak. Forgive me, please.
Okay.
Candidate for mayor in the City of London. Welcome.
Thank you. And I appreciate this.
If elected, how many hours per week on average do you expect that you would spend working in your elected capacity?
As much that is needed. As a mayor, there's no time limit. You have to work 15, 16 hours a day, 7 days a week, you do it, period.
Do you think ward councillors are currently paid enough for the amount of work that they'll be doing during the next term of City Council?
Absolutely. I know they get paid $31,000 a year part-time. I know people that are working full-time don't even get that money. All councillors should be full-time, period. The only people that should get part-time work is people that work for Burger King or McDonald's restaurant.
London's governance model is undergoing significant change, and that includes elimination of the Board of Control. Do you think that this will increase the necessity for ward councillors to inform themselves about issues outside of their own ward boundaries?
I have no idea how they think. But what I'd like to see done, and I'm going to try it if elected mayor, that we get a full-time council, not part-time. And I phoned Los Angeles on the last election, 3.8 million people, and they have 15 councillors and a mayor. We have 400,000 and we have 14 councillors. We can run this city with 7 and a mayor.
Do you live within the geographical boundaries of the electoral area in which you are contesting this election?
Well, yes, for the whole of London as the mayor. Yes, I live up on Fanshawe Park Road.
How many of your post-teenage years have you lived in London?
I arrived here in 1979.
Have you attended any standing committee meetings over the course of the last 4 years?
No.
Any Board of Control meetings?
No.
Are you familiar with the Municipal Act and the Municipal Councillor's Guide?
Not really, but when elected mayor, I'll learn very fast, because I'm a fast learner.
The Strengthening Neighbourhoods Task Force recommended development of a neighbourhood matching fund type program for large and small community projects that are not celebrations or events. Do you support that recommendation?
I don't know because I know nothing about it, but when elected mayor, I will delve into it.
Do you support development of a community program to fund the creation of public art in public places?
No.
Should the City of London and its boards and commissions embrace the concept of making their data open and accessible to everyone as often as is possible, and adopting open standards for that data?
Oh, absolutely.
When existing software applications have to be replaced or when software licenses have to be renewed, should the city adopt the use of open source software whenever that's possible?
I'm not sure.
Is the city's communication department being given enough resources, money and personnel?
I have no idea about that.
Should citizens be able to subscribe to subject-specific RSS feeds from City Hall in order to stay informed?
What's the RSS fees?
Should citizens be able to download the agendas of upcoming public meetings, including advisory committee meetings, at least a week in advance?
Absolutely.
Despite the requirement of the Municipal Act that all City Hall meetings be public except for very specific reasons, it's been argued that most often they are not because of the inability of the public to hear what's being said. Do you support the adoption of a policy which mandates the use of microphones in all public meetings at City Hall?
Absolutely.
Do you think that the City of London ought to be webcasting all of its public meetings?
Yes.
Do you think that all of the city's boards and commissions ought to be webcasting all of their public meetings?
Yes.
Do you think that the chairpersons of all public meetings at City Hall ought to have to announce motions and amendments to motions and the number of votes for and against those motions so that the public can understand what's taking place?
Absolutely.
Should London hire an Auditor General?
Without a doubt. And the councillors that don't want one, ask them why. I would love to see an Auditor General, and I'm going to go for one when elected mayor.
Should homeowners have to pay a percentage of the cost for the repair of damage to underground infrastructure on their own property that has been caused by city-owned trees?
No.
Do you agree with the placemaking concept of neighborhood gateways?
I'm not familiar with that.
Should there be increased user representation on the London Transit Commission?
Oh, absolutely. And they should also have some of the drivers on the commission. What do the councillors know about the bus? They don't ride the buses. In fact, they gave their bus pass back.
If the City of London is going to provide venture capital to businesses, should the city be guaranteed a return on its investment in the event that those businesses become profitable?
Of course, but I don't think taxpayers' money should be used for any business.
Should people be allowed to naturalize their lawns?
That's what pesticide stuff.
Are London's pedestrians and pedestrian issues sufficiently represented at City Hall?
I have no idea.
The traffic and parking bylaw prohibits people from using any sidewalk for any purpose other than pedestrian traffic, except as specifically permitted. Should downtown patios, which consume most of the width of the public sidewalk, be permitted?
No.
When closure of a public sidewalk for construction purposes takes place, what steps should be required to ensure that pedestrians are not forced out onto the roadway in a manner which puts them at risk?
Well, I believe that all repairs should be done at night so that the sidewalks would be clear.
Is the warranted sidewalk program sufficiently funded?
I don't know anything about that program.
Is the warranted walkway program sufficiently funded?
I don't know anything about that program.
Old unlit streets are not lit unless there's a local improvement program application and cost sharing amongst owners. Do you agree with that policy?
Well, I believe that all walkways should be lit to avoid people being attacked.
Do you think that special funding ought to be provided to London Police for the purchase of additional Speedwatch radar trailers and the cost of having auxiliary police section deploy them on a frequent basis?
Well, I would have to look into that to see why they want it and of what use it is before I said yes or no.
Should the city be spending as much as it is per year from the federal gas tax to construct on-road bike lanes in London?
I believe they should be spending some money, yes.
Should bicycles be allowed on public sidewalks?
Yeah, I walk the sidewalks. I see a bicycle coming, I just step aside. But, what's the big deal about that?
Should persons in motorized wheelchairs and other mobility devices that are on the public sidewalk be obliged to yield for pedestrians?
No.
Should the City of London install more bike racks?
I'm not sure how many bike racks they have, so I can't answer that.
Do you think that the theft of bikes is an important issue?
I believe so. Theft of anything is an important issue.
Is the City of London currently spending enough money to promote its web-based ride match service?
I have no idea.
Should there be dedicated and discounted carpool parking spaces on downtown streets and in city-owned lots?
I'd have to look into that.
Should every signalized London intersection provide advanced left turns?
Absolutely.
Does the City of London provide sufficient funding for the Community Gardens program?
I have no idea.
Should all dogs have to be muzzled when they're not on their owner's property?
Well, it depends what the dog is. A little Chihuahua shouldn't.
Should dogs be allowed at community events?
Absolutely.
Do you think people ought to be able to raise chickens in their backyards?
Well, depends where the backyard is.
That's the end of the question and answer interview. Thank you for your cooperation.
Oh, you're most welcome. Thank you for having me.